Welcome to today's video. So a lot of these are turned around because they are digital copies, so just representing them. Today's video is our May reading wrap up. Get into our stats. In the month of May, we read 7 books. I did build these bookshelves in the month of May, so I dropped off a bit on my reading. That's okay. And the average number of pages read was 464. So while I didn't read as many, I did read kind of some bigger books. My physical TBR percent is 72.10, which is funny because in May it was 72.01, but I brought some books in that I went ahead and read. So average time on my TBR was 22 months. Average star was 3.5. I did read 2 series that I knew I was really liking, so that really brought it up. I did buy 6 new books. I spent $81.62 in books for an average cost of $13.60. Again, like I say in every video, I will eventually do a book haul in a separate video. We're just going to go over kind of in order that I read them. So Confident Women by Terry Teffler. This was a fiction about con artist women. My favorite was the first one, who scammed the royal jewelers of Marie Antoinette. Had a massive negative impact on the public's view of Marie Antoinette. The way the book's written really kind of shows that maybe that had a little impact on what happened to Marie Antoinette, just because of the way the world viewed her. I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was a good story. All the con artists kind of have their own personalities and way that they did it. And so it's not like the same story over and over, but it starts at the 1700s and goes to current day. At the time, it's 2021. So it was a good book, short, sweet, to the point. Just a bunch of little short stories on these con women. The next one was A Mask of Flies by Matthew Lyons. This is a horror. It's definitely gory, bloody, fast paced. It's got a little bit of a supernatural element. So Anne Heller is this woman who, her mom died kind of mysteriously one night. And then she's had this really rough upbringing, but she's part of a bank heist, goes wrong due to the fact that they had a snitch in the group. One of the bank heist members is also her friend. He gets shot. She tries to go and save him. In the process of saving him, she ends up kidnapping a police officer. They end up at this cabin where she lived with her mom before her mom grabbed her out in the night from this cabin, and she's never been back. And now she's kind of running from her past and her present. And this is where there's kind of 2 storylines that start. So there's the present storyline and the past storyline. And it's not always clear when something's happening. Is it happening because the actions in her past or her present and how they're coming together? So I think he did a really good job in the way he brings them together. And towards the end, you really start to see that supernatural element. Definitely does not end in a way that I thought it would. His writing's a little bit different. It's very descriptive, almost has a little bit of a poetic sense at times, not necessarily poetic, but just a different kind of writing. I do think that it works for this story. The next one I read was My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. So this is about Jade, this is a horror, but it's about Jade Daniels, who's a high school student obsessed with slasher films and those 80s slashers. She is writing a slasher 101 to her history teacher, and she starts to see the town's also doing this viewing of Jaws on the water. And so she starts to see kind of the signs that the slasher is going to come to life. She's trying to warn everybody. Nobody listens. My favorite part of this is Jade. She's really dark, but she also has just kind of she's very charismatic. She's got kind of an interesting personality. I just really liked her. And I really liked the element of her paper being part of the way you're told the story, but then also in real time, the events that are happening. So I like the format of this, and I would really recommend this. Is really good. That's the first book in the Indian Lake trilogy. I finished the next 2. So Don't Fear the Reaper is the second in the Indian Lake trilogy by Stephen Graham Jones. This one is Jade Daniel coming back after going to prison for a few years. There's also Dark Mill South, who's a notorious serial killer who's being transported during this snowstorm to a different prison. He ends up escaping right near Proof Rock. And again, another slasher is kind of coming to life. And there's a slasher and there's Dark Mill South and there's a bunch of people showing up dead. What breaks my heart is just, you see the evolution of Jade from some of her innocence lost, and just the evolution of her. And I think Stephen Graham Jones did an absolutely fabulous job of writing her in that way. And just the way he wrote it in, he doesn't ever tell you about it. He writes it in, and it's so you feel it and you see it, and it's kind of heartbreaking. I still really like Jade. There's still kind of a paper story timeline. So the format's still kind of the same. So it's not necessarily Jade writing the slasher 101. Anyways, another really good one. The last one was The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones, which was the 3rd and final in the Indian Lake trilogy. This one was also really good. Again, Jade's come back. There's signs of a serial killer slasher happening again in real life, and she has to kind of finally put it into it and figure out what the hell's going on. I'm fascinated by the fact that there can still be in all of these so many different facts and clues and all this stuff about slashers that it's not repeated facts over and over, but there's so much to it. It's quite fascinating. It's a really good book. Again, seeing that evolution of Jade and the characters that she interacts with during the book is really well done, so I would highly recommend. The next two I read are the second and third book, Arc of the Scythe series by Neil Shusterman. So this is about the world of Utopia, Scythes coming in, gleaning people for population control. The second one, The Thunderhead, you see more, I'm going to set this down, you see more of, so this is after Citra and Rowan have, Citra became a Scythe, Rowan went off and became Scythe Lucifer. So you're seeing that if you haven't read the first one, maybe spoiler alert, and I'll just give like a very brief, maybe you want to hold off. And I'll just give, they're very worth it. There's more world development. There's more kind of storylines coming in and a lot of different things. So that's just a really brief overview. I don't know how spoilery this is, but just in case. So, the second one, Thunderhead, is Lucifer or Rowan is now leaning other sides that he thinks is not good. Like daughter is dead, but stuff's happening. And we're seeing more of the view of the Thunderhead and the Thunderhead kind of getting maybe a little bit more awareness. Somebody's after Scythe Anastasia or Citra. There's Grayson that's coming in, who's the Thunderhead's like talking to him and like in a roundabout way getting him to go save Scythe Anastasia from being gleaned. And then the Toll is where Grayson, the one that saved Scythe Anastasia, becomes the Toll. He's the last man to, he's the only person left who can speak to the Thunderhead. The Thunderhead again is getting more awareness, but also trying to help the Toll, who's what he's called now, kind of save the world and save everybody. And then Scythe, Anastasia, and Rowan, who died in the first one, are now coming back, and you're seeing all that world and all the things that are coming. So yeah, another really good one, and I would recommend. So that's really all for the month of May. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.